1, 2,
Standing
go.
by. You know it.
Here we go.
Hey, everybody, you're listening to and possibly watching the Comic Book Bears podcast. I'm Bill Zanowitz.
I'm Steve Morey.
I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
And we are your hairy, heavy homos that talk about comic books. You don't have to be a hairy, heavy homo to listen in. We had a gap of 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks because one of us was on vacation. And yeah, you got to do that, Steve. And
Yay!
yay.
The other two were just exhausted.
And the other two were just schlubs. Yeah.
Hey, you know, I do not envy you guys having to deal with all of the ice and snow that came in that first storm.
Yeah.
And, but I was right there with you with that second big storm because I came back just in time to get dumped on. We got 9 inches in, at least 9 inches here at the house in Winston-Salem.
On the
Which is
second?
crazy. Yeah, that second storm.
Our first storm, we got 14, and then the second storm missed us almost completely.
Well, that's good.
We only had one go around of precipitation, so we got about five inches or so. But see, in Arkansas, we got a lot of ice, and so it wasn't snow, right? So we had ice come down first and do a layer of that. We had some snow laying on top of that, and then we had ice on top of that again, which makes for just really untenable driving conditions. And so the world was shut down here for like a week and a half. Luckily, the new Subaru did great. There were because Roger has to be back and forth to the hospital and stuff like, so he doesn't have the luxury of working from home. And luckily my office was shut down, so I got to just work from home during the week, and then weekends I stayed busy.
That's cool. I have to say, like, around me, like, I'm in the suburbs, but I've also, like, New Jersey is the Garden State. There's also a lot of farmland around me.
Yeah.
And one thing I notice is, like, you need sunglasses right now still, just because of, just fields and fields.
Snow blindness.
White. Yeah. You still need that. And one thing driving around, I've gone out very little since we've had the storms. I noticed that, because the snow was so high at some points with the plowing, that there are certain areas where you turn corners and it's a little dangerous given how high the snow is stacked. And, I always drive it's Death Race 3000, the other people, and I'm just trying to stay alive. I'm a very careful driver. And, I just said, like, to, like, other people's annoyances sometimes. And, I honestly felt like there were a couple times where, like, this is really unsafe. Some of these turns are, like, a bit unsafe, and nobody's driving like it's unsafe but me. So.
Well, all it takes is one person to, fly out of control, and then everybody else is stuck behind a disaster. So, yeah, I mean, North Carolina, if you're not from the mountains or if you're not in the mountains, most likely you're not getting much cleared out. So you're going to be basically stuck in your house for a couple days before things start to clear up. And we have that really long gravel driveway. Thankfully, we were able to get some of it cleared on Sunday after we got the big storm on Saturday. So it wasn't completely impassable for a few days. But yeah, I mean, it's not fun down here in the South. I know people get a lot more snow elsewhere and they have to deal with it for a lot longer. Yeah. So I totally get it.
It's still here though. It hasn't gone anywhere. There's still a lot of snow back here.
It's mostly melted here. So down here, I mean,
we've had very different temperatures.
Right. Yeah. So actually, I mean, it went from like in the matter of just a matter of days. There was one day where, at night it was down to single digits, and then within 2 days we were back up to 70 and 80 degrees in January and February. Like it's bad, and it shouldn't be that. But hey, climate change isn't real. We're not at a weird
extreme swings.
Yeah, there were 2 overnights where we did go sub-zero.
We hit 1 degree here, which I think was a record for us. And down here that's dangerous because we're not set up for it, right? So at all.
And like there was the worst day was when it was 11 degrees, but the real feel was like negative 20.
Yeah.
I went out just to go to the mailbox, so, and oh my God, there was a wind gust and I was like, this is how I die.
Bill was like, I'm not that kind of bear.
Freeze is around the corner. He's pissed at me,
It's not cute when it's minus 20 wind chill.
And I know we've had conversations before, and I know Steve hates winter. I love winter. I just don't like so much of it at once.
Yeah.
I like winter in other places. I like winter for different reasons than other people. All right, I hate winter for different reasons than other people hate winter, right? Yeah. Like mine is more like I don't get to enjoy the snow because it's a self-inflicted wound, right? Like the work I do with the van, whenever it snows or it's freezing, I open shelters. So when it's cold, I'm stuck inside a building and getting people off the street. So I don't get to enjoy the winter weather. For me, it's just work. So I hate it, but it's not because of the weather. Like I love Colorado, right? I would love to go snow skiing again. I miss it. I love that. You give me snow where I don't have to do a bunch of work. I'm good with it. I'll live, right? But I hate winter, but it's just totally for a different reason.
Oh, yeah. For me, if you put me in one of those mythical Hallmark towns, Hallmark movie towns, where they have the 78th annual Pancake Apricot Festival, and there's always snow on the ground, and there's always shops, oh God.
You'd make a good Santa bear.
Yeah.
You got to let it grow out a little bit, but.
I had this conversation. I'll forward you pictures. Like when it does grow out, it just I don't have that kind of beard.
You gotta.
But I'm okay right now. Like I'm cool with Kenny. I'm cool with the Kenny Rogers right now. It's just on the verge of getting like really unruly. So at some point, then I'm gonna have to get a haircut.
There's a reason I'm wearing a hat. Like I don't know what to do with all this mess.
Oh. Well, this is getting clipped before Jason heads out to Colorado, so I'm going to be. Hopefully, by the next episode, I will have a nice trim and everything. So, and since it's going to be in the 70s and whatnot, starting next week here, then I can go with real short summer cut.
Yeah, I think our high is going to be, like in we got like a 42 degrees. And a week. That's about the high of anything that's on the horizon.
No, thank you. I'll stick to my 70 degrees.
I'm fine with it. Like let's put together like the Pancake Apricot, March Festival.
I was jogging in short
chocolate. I'll walk down as one of the judges, and like, that goddaughter of mine. She left for the big city and now she's back. Oh, heaven.
Spending a lot of time with her high school boyfriend.
Who, is an arborist yet drives a Lamborghini, Yeah.
No, he owns a Lamborghini. He drives a beat up F-150.
Yeah.
Because he's a man of the people. Because he's a man of the people.
But he's got that Lamborghini in the garage that he never takes out because, it just would look so ostentatious.
I really do wish, there's sometimes I really do wish my life was different, because I think I'd be outstanding as a town elder. I think I'd be outstanding. Like, morning, governor. I'd be in heaven. That's very funny there, Miss Jane. The natural.
Bill needs to live his best Babes in Toyland life.
Yes.
There's a Keanu Reeves reference I didn't know I was going to make tonight.
I'm just trying to think. Well, so since we've been gone, we've had the Super Bowl.
Get out of my head, Caleb.
We've had competing halftime shows.
Yeah.
Which really wasn't a competition.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah. There was a halftime show, and then there was something that got pre-recorded.
Yeah,
and still managed to mess it up.
Yeah. Oof. Planchella. And then yesterday, I mean, some of us who might have been working from home bore witness to one of the biggest embarrassments in United States history, which was Pam Bundy's testimony.
Yeah. Also, there's the Olympics. The Winter Olympics are going on.
I have watched so much Olympics. I have watched. Well, when I say watched, it's on in the background while I'm working.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad one of our former co-hosts, isn't involved in as deeply as he's. I fucking hate curling. I gotta say it. I can't stand it. It's like janitorial work. I mean, like I don't want like I don't find that. And like I mean, and like my friends Rob and Sharon and Kathy, they're all like completely entrenched in that lifestyle, and I can't stand it.
And it is a lifestyle.
They yell at each other like, especially the Italians. That was really funny because you would have thought like he was like sticking his baby's arms on fire, when she was young.
It's like winter bowling though. So all the gays around here are falling in love with it. And again, I'm not as adamant, or I just don't. I have no feeling. I'm apathetic to its existence. I have no feelings whatsoever. If it's on, cool. I'll watch people like do it or whatever. I still don't understand what's happening with the brooms, but but all the gays around here are all a gaggle about it. It's hilarious. Like the same gays that last year had gotten into like professional slapping, which is a thing. It's a thing, and they got super into it for a minute, and so it was just But so they're all.
I mean, when it gets into the gay culture of it all, does the professional slapping just essentially reenact scenes from Dynasty, like to add flavor to it? So it's not just like whack. It's like, you bitch, Alexis, like something like that.
Oh, they're 100% sassy. Like, yes. Yeah, the night the lights went out in Georgia quotes all over the place. Roger will watch it and then immediately come up with like Beverly Leslie from Will and Grace quotes. It's hilarious to watch stuff like that with gays. It is amazing. Yeah. It is. I don't even care about the show. I watch them watching the show because that's where the entertainment factor is. And so, but they're all into curling, and so they're all talking about it and stuff and learning the rules, and to me, it's like, it's winter bowling, right? Like that's kind of the equivalent of what it is.
I mean, and I get, because like apparently, it's like brain cells don't like living at these games. There's a lot of drinking that goes on, at least in Jersey.
Fun times.
At least in Jersey. But it's not.
It's our bocce ball, right? It's like winter bocce, right? Like in it. So I guess it could be a fun.
It's a lot of fun to see, and I credit Brian for introducing me to curling. I do not play because also it's a lot of money. You can throw down a lot of stuff on there, a lot of money on that. But it is a lot of fun to watch, especially if you have friends or know people who are playing. You get to sit there at the glass with a drink and watch them play, and it's pretty amazing. We have a guest here who, let's see if this will show. Yes, there we go. My favorite part of Thursday nights. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's back up in Pittsburgh.
Yay.
Like he was going to need to go back overseas, but he's back in Pittsburgh, so that's good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us here at the Comic Book Bears. But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy curling, of course. I always love the opening ceremonies, and randomly there was...
I did watch Lindsey Vaughn's crash live.
Yeah. That was so bad. I mean, I was worried that we would see something similar to this, not a crash like that, but because she literally had no ACL left. She had just been injured a few weeks before this. So there was a real fear that something would happen and she would get injured. I didn't expect it to be right away.
Yeah.
I expected something to happen like in the course, that she might have to
And finish. Of the contestants, I thought that British couple who had the Spice Girls routine got robbed. I think least take the bronze. So I thought they were wonderful.
They were like Torval and Dean.
I like Torval and Dean.
Torval and
The
Dean.
music of Torval and Dean.
It's the beauty
But
of
seriously,
Torval and Dean.
Let's explain this to Caleb.
Yeah, because I don't know what we're talking about at all.
Torval and Dean were a British skating couple.
Yeah.
Were more famous for competitions than Olympic glory. But when they would do routines, these songs would become hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
wacky,
incredible.
But
yeah.
And they were on every talk show, they were on every chat show, they were on everything. So they were really a power couple of famous.
And if I remember, like, she was like, like she had like a very like thick northern accent.
Yeah. So
am I right, Steve? Was that right?
Sure.
Like he was a bit more. He was his way.
I can't remember where she's from.
But I think she was like, "Slow it down, baby." Oh my god! I can't. No, watch, I'm totally wrong, but
I apologize to all people who
I've offended curlers and Torval and Dean fans so far,
and all of Northern Britain.
Yeah,
and all of the North. Yes.
Oh no.
The Scots agree. The Scots are going to be on your side with this. They're like, yeah, no, that's mush mouth motherfuckers.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
I have not kept up with the Winter Olympics probably like I should have. I need to catch the highlights and stuff though. I'm more interested in, everybody loves the figure skating, which obviously it's gorgeous and stuff like that. I like the skiing and the snowboarding.
The downhill. And the shots they can get with drones now.
Yeah.
Both on the slopes and also in the luge are just incredible.
Yeah.
They're just incredible.
You can also, like, with some of the shots that I've seen from the luge in previous years, even like just going back 4 years ago, depending on what TV you're watching it on, if it's a really big screen, you almost get that like roller coaster feeling, like you're sitting in one of those machines that used to be everywhere in malls in like the 90s, where you just get like the Star Tours effect. I can't wait for all.
And
like,
also
the
now we're
skeleton
getting more of the men's hockey. Just the way the scheduling was in the U.S. versus Latvia, and there were a lot of contested scoring. There was a lot of contested scoring in that game. It almost felt like a football game.
No one kissed at the end. I don't know what it's supposed to.
No one kissed at the end. Aren't they all supposed to like call somebody down from the stands and like make out? Like, what's going to happen?
In the books my husband reads, that's apparently how hockey is played. You hit the thing into the net, and then you make out with the cute guy.
Apparently, there have been some adjustments, and the tattoo song and the Wolf Parade song are like every team is playing that before the show.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's
amazing.
Also, I just actually happened to see it, and I was not thinking, or I would have caught the name, but there is, I guess, for the first time, an out speed skater. So one of the male speed skaters, the first gay, or at least the first out speed skater in there, which can't be the first one, right? Like,
no.
I mean, just playing
first
the
out is fun.
Yeah. I just, at some point, you spend that much time on the ice on your skates, and you're just doing there's some. It's just the numbers are against you to think that this would be the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
But definitely, in figure skating, we're just all like, you triple sow cow and you bend over. But the rest of it, it's slowly edging over. Emphasis on edging. Edging longer.
All right. We've been at this for 24. Well, no, actually less, because some of us were blabbermouth right before the show.
It wasn't me this time.
No, it wasn't. It's usually Steve. Where I'm I pull the boss card and I'm like, Steve, we got 30 seconds. Steve, we got a minute. And this time, Caleb and I were like, bah, 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 and Steve was in the middle.
Talking about the omnibuses.
It was a comic book related conversation. We were talking about DC. So this is great, right? So DCBS finally updated, and which, by the way, can we get y'all to do that like on week 1 or at least week 2 of the month? This is taking a little bit.
The last 3 months it's been late. The last 3 months it's been noticeably late.
It doesn't really bother me because I usually do my order right before we record, or sometimes while we were recording. But that's when I do it. So but still, it's it's almost
and you kind of expect January to be like that. you kind of expect that, but yeah, this was late.
But here's where the conversation went, right? So we were talking about doing our DCBS order, and we were talking about collected editions and things that are coming out. Bill and Steve both were mentioning about how they're doing reprints of, I guess, like 50 different reprints of the Absolutes, just getting them back in single issue because people are really wanting single issues of these. Even like the 8th printing of whatever, they're not wanting trades. I actually want, I got the Absolute Martian Manhunter hardcover. I would love the Absolute Wonder Woman hardcover. That's on my list of things to get. But we were talking about either trade waiting or omnibuses, and I brought up that one of the collected editions that's being at least advertised and is being put out is a collected edition of World's Finest, which is one of my favorite ongoing series at DC right now. But they're not doing an omnibus, despite the fact that it's up to like 50. They're doing a deluxe edition, which will have like the first 12, maybe. I can pull it up and look at it, but it's definitely not the bulk that's out. And I both understand why, because that's still an ongoing series, and maybe they're going to let it go and see what happens before they do a giant collection of it. But I mean, part of me wants this for my shelf, but part of me is like, no, I want the omnibus. Like, I love the shelf porn. I want it there. And so Bill and I had kind of gotten into a conversation. Bill does not like, he does not enjoy the reading experience of omnibuses. On the other hand, I actually really, if it's done right in the production as well, and you're not losing things in the gutters, I actually really like omnibuses. I like reading those. I enjoy sitting on the couch and just being able to go and go and go and go. Now, when you start losing things in the gutter, that does diminish the experience. But Bill just is not an omnibus.
Yeah, it's just aesthetically, I don't enjoy the experience. I feel like I've gotten like a giant ancient tome out of Mesopotamia, and the secret knowledge. It, like, aesthetically, it's not an enjoyable experience for me. You can give me a 350-page Masterworks or DC Archives. It's like packed to the hilt. I will still have a better reading experience. Maybe because it feels more like a comic book. And this is going to sound really hypocritical when we get to my Wolf of the Week too. But aesthetically, I like that experience far more than the handful of omnibus in the omnibu that I do have. I like I like the nature of having everything, or half of everything. As things work out with the way a lot of these are put together. If somebody sent me one for a Christmas or a birthday gift, I'd be perfectly happy. But in terms of where I would go for the desired reading experience, it would be to a single issue, a conventional collection, or digitally. It would not be to the omnibus first. Yeah.
So the only problem that I have with omnibus reading, aside from the cost, like I feel better working my way through deluxe editions or through trades rather than
well, you're not getting hit all at once
or something like that. Yeah. You just spread it out over a while, over several tomes. But one of the things that has come up a couple times when you have those definitive compendiums, those omnibus collections, there are some bindings that are less secure feeling. And I love my Starman compendium. I handle that thing like it's made of glass because it just feels like if I strain the spine too much, pages are just going to fall out en masse.
Yeah.
And I don't like that feeling. Sometimes even with like the hardcover bindings of certain omnibus, I get nervous with them. You may not be losing a lot in the gutter sometimes, but you may be losing a lot of security in the binding. And that can be a little bit of a problem. And that kind of like kills the desire to actually have something like that. It looks great on a shelf, but don't try opening it, or don't try actually reading it, because you might
looking back at myself.
Half of it.
I think actually my favorite production is going to be, I really like the Absolutes. They're not only big, but they're like big, right? And so you get you feel like you're just holding this giant thing, and you see all the art in a larger size than it was printed and stuff like that. So I just got the Absolute Transmet 2. So that's like Transmet 1 and 2
wow.
Are now mine. And so that's going to be one of my next big reads to read those. But I like those a little bit better than the smaller, thicker omnibuses. And I will say it really does depend on how big the omnibus is. So like the Who's Who omnibus, the one that they did a few years ago, it's way too big. The son of a bitch is like that, right? Like that's way too big. So I'm with, like when it's that way, I'm very much with you, Bill, but just a standard omnibus, like I really enjoy that experience.
And it's very 400, 500 pages.
I don't think Who's Who has ever come out digitally.
Has it not really?
I don't think it has.
That would be like the ultimate reference.
I'd have to look because like that's like made for digital. Yeah. I may be completely wrong on that. But I'll look over on DC Infinite later. But it's just just different ways that you enjoy things, and I don't even think it's like a thing like I grew up with the single issues. No. It's not that at all because I know plenty of people my age and older that will go to a collected edition or an omnibus every time. So
it's easier to have.
It's not even that.
And it's easier to have at hand. I think, when you have everything in short boxes, it's a chore. It's a chore to dig through that, trying to find the issue that you want to look at. Or if you want to pull out like a stack of issues, you're taking them in and out of the plastic and all that stuff, like people like us who do that. It's so much easier to just have like, you got your omnibus, it's there, or your absolute or your deluxe edition. You can pull it out, read the story that you want to read, and put it back away, and it looks nice.
Now, I have to ask this, Caleb, because I'm still so confused.
Okay.
You're about to jump into Transmet, which is worthwhile, but you've also professed your love often for George Perez, and New Teen Titans remains untouched. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean...
don't understand that.
Let me, so one of the reasons is because I don't have the New Teen Titans omnibus. And I have Transmet. So
you have Infinite. You maintain Infinite though, right?
Yes, I do. And so I've got that. So I can absolutely read that and probably should start doing that. I haven't even thought. See this, I only read newer comics on digitally, right? Like, and so that's kind of what you were just talking about, shifting over with things. I forget that I've got access to New Teen Titans. And so, actually I will start doing that pretty quick and reading New Teen. But I also want it on my shelf. Like I want
and some of it's like, I just want to talk to you about it, because that was the series that got me back into comics.
Okay.
When I did not read comics for 4 years. And then senior year of high school, I kind of rediscovered them and found New Teen Titans. That was the comic I was always waiting for. I
love that George Perez in different ways and in different times is the guy that locked us both into comics, though.
Well, I wouldn't say he locked me into comics, but he got me back in. And I will never minimize how important Marv Wolfman was either.
Oh, absolutely. So for me,
a brilliant marriage of word and story, and that couldn't have been done by one person, and had to have been a team.
For me, it was his Avengers stuff though. So, but I love that it. Maybe it's not fair to say Gotcha. It's such an important figure to our comic reading. Like Gotcha,
it got me back, but certainly got me back in. And then from there, there was the Byrne's Fantastic Four was still going on. There was a lot of quality stuff. The British writers were coming in. Just a great time.
Yep.
And then the next year was the watershed year. So. Yeah.
Okay. Going in.
I came back in at a good time. Yep. Well, you don't start there. You started DC Comics Presents 26.
Well, you didn't tell me that.
Well,
now I got to see if that's on here.
Oh God, yeah. Don't worry about it.
It's on there. It's on there.
Okay. Well, y'all do the show. I'm going to read this.
Well, just go online and find like a continuity, because you do have to take a break for the Tales of the New Teen Titans and some of the crossovers. But yeah, it's mostly in the main series. And then when it gets confusing, when they had the Baxter series, they had 2 monthly Titans titles for a year.
I'm going to have to print Reddit. I'm going to have to print a Reddit list.
Yeah, and they're all over the place. Yeah, but just know that when it becomes Tales of the New Teen Titans, I think it's 56 or 7. I don't know what it is, but you'll find it. Yeah, you'll find it.
So I'm just out of curiosity, I was checking our two streams because I just want to make sure that they are streaming properly. And weirdly enough, I am on the left hand of the screen. Bill is in the middle of the screen, and Caleb is on the right.
I'm in the middle of mine.
Yeah,
I'm on the side. I'm never in the middle, honey.
I like being a sandwich.
Usually, I'm
plenty
in the
of
middle.
times I wanted to be, but
yeah, no.
Plenty of times I want to be the meat in a certain sandwich, but never works.
Sandwich.
You guys make good buns. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, never. You know, it's like I don't. But that's
I've been complimented on my buns.
I've been complimented on my meat. It works out really well.
There you go. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
You want a funny story about buns? You want a funny story about buns? I'm going to tell a funny story about buns.
Funny story about buns.
Okay.
Yes.
Pee-wee's Playhouse. Okay. Picture it, Sicily. No, I like where this is going. 1985. Watching Pee-wee's or 86. Watching Pee-wee's Playhouse in college. One of the first season episodes with Lawrence Fishburne as Cowboy Curtis. Pee-wee and Cowboy Curtis go camping. And as they're talking about going camping, they're setting up their tent and everything, and they're like, they want to make hot dogs, and neither of the other one brought the buns. I didn't bring the buns. Well, I didn't bring the buns, Pee-wee. So it's the conversation going back and forth. And then Pee-wee says, now we have nothing to stick our wieners in. Okay. 13 fucking weeks we waited for that repeat. 13 weeks we waited for that repeat. When they repeated it, it never was aired again. And it's not, and the version that's on the DVD doesn't have the line.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I know this happened. I was there with two other people.
This wasn't a Mandela effect kind of situation.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's my wiener story.
I've got a confession.
I have others.
I bet you do.
I'm sure you do.
So, confession.
Yeah.
Never seen Pee-wee's Playhouse.
It's when you were born. That doesn't surprise me as much as New Teen Titans surprises me.
It was before your time. However, one thing I will recommend for Pee-wee, for Pee-wee's Playhouse, check out the original special. They have brought that back. You can watch the original Pee-wee's live special. Well, it wasn't live, but the tape special from the theater. I can't remember what the theater it was, but it has Phil Hartman. It's got it's just an amazing show.
Yeah.
And it really captures the essence of the whole Pee-wee thing. Obviously, the kids show came after and was crazy and wonderful in its own way, but
I just don't.
That original was so good.
I don't like, I've never, so I mean, obviously, you guys know me. I'm not a stranger to going back and like things that are before my time. I mean, I'm wearing a Slash shirt. Things that are quote unquote before my time are not, that's my wheelhouse. Like my favorite bands are from the 80s. So that's not necessarily a thing. But when it comes to Pee-wee's my favorite movie is, one of my favorite movies is The Crow. But when it comes to Pee-wee's Playhouse, I haven't seen it, so I'm judging something I haven't seen, but it just looks like it's severely like absurdist humor to me, and I don't like absurdist humor, and so that's why I've never had a drive to go back and watch it.
It's absurd.
That's absurd.
I don't like funny. I really don't, and that's always been like Roger makes fun of me all the time. He's like, "Yeah, you hate comedy." I was like, "No, I like comedy. I like British comedy. I don't,
particular type of comedy."
Yeah, well, we had our conversation.
We had a whole conversation about that.
We had this whole conversation today about and we ended up on the darkest sketch comedy show. What has a reputation was a show called Jam, and they have an episode about pedophilia. And when I was reading that description, I was like, "They aired this?
This made it onto TV?
Yeah."
But then I think at some point it kind of devolved into like the comedy to horror.
Like, oh, what a joke! What a knee slapper! Yeah, I can see that.
It went from the comedy to the horror pipeline, which is pretty prevalent. I mean, a lot of major sketch comedy people have gone into horror. But yeah. So should we get into comics?
Why not? We're here.
Also, go see Hawks. Ish.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Go ish. Seahawks.
Well, yeah. I mean, like as Caleb and I were saying, it was that was for both of us. That was the outcome we hoped to see. I just wish it wasn't such a boring game.
It was.
Yeah.
It was not the most exciting game,
and it wasn't even like I don't mind low scoring games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not an issue because I love defense. Like I think, but it wasn't particularly a good defensive game. It was a a mediocre to bad defensive game with also low scoring, and I was just like, man.
I wouldn't characterize it as that. I thought it was. I thought there was a combination of like good defense and just an offense on the Patriots side that just could not get it together.
Yeah.
And sorry to say, a quarterback who was not ready. He was not ready for that kind of game.
Oh, I saw somebody post, it's like, yeah, the last 2 years have not been good for anybody named Drake at the Super Bowl.
It's good. Ooh. Oh, boy.
All right. Let's go. All right. So almost every time when we do a show, Steve goes first. Let's keep it up. And Steve, from what I understand, you have something from the Energon end of the Image Hasbro.
I do. And it's one that I haven't talked about for a while. I've covered on here Void Rivals, which was one of the big surprising books that kicked off the Energon universe as a shock. It was like, hey, last page, guess what, guys? This is part of G.I. Joe and Transformers. I've talked about Transformers, but I haven't talked about G.I. Joe all that much. I think I covered, Cobra Commander and Duke miniseries, a couple of years ago. And interestingly enough, this actually flows out of those miniseries more so than it does the main series. And what I'm going to be talking about is the main title, G.I. Joe, from Image Comics. However, this is going to be the Dreadnok War. And let me see if I can pull that up, if it will let me. But the Dreadnok War goes from, I believe it's issue 13 through issue 17. And it's, 5-part series. Pretty damn awesome. Let me see if I can pull up. There we go. Now you can see what I'm talking about for those of you who are watching the show. Dreadnok War started off with issue 13. Duke ends up going to the desert. He's called out there because the guys back at headquarters are noticing that there's some kind of signal that is pulsing in the desert, out in the Chihuahua Desert. And they think it might be connected to Energon. It might be connected to the Transformers, because this is in a connected universe where the Transformers have pretty much destroyed Seattle and just smashed Chicago all to hell. And Duke has a massive chip on his shoulder against the Transformers themselves, these giant robots. He hasn't found one that he's liked yet. In fact, his partner and fellow pilot was murdered by Starscream very early on, and that's kind of what led to his to him taking part in the G.I. Joe initiative.
Question on that. So is he hating Transformers or is he hating Decepticons?
He's hating Transformers altogether. Okay. Because for him, there's nothing good about these giant transforming robots that are destroying huge sections of the United States.
Okay.
So he's going to investigate. Meanwhile, Cobra Commander shows up, also looking for whatever this signal could be, because he is looking for more sources of Energon. But while he's there, he ends up being betrayed by part of his army, and they call in the Dreadnoks, who are unaligned at this point in the series. Cobra Commander encountered them in his own miniseries where he tracked himself to the swamps looking for more energon, and ended up killing a whole bunch of Dreadnoks, and more or less forcing a few to work with him. Well, that didn't go over well with the rest of these crazy, road warrior, Mad Max type rednecks of the swamp, and now they are taking their revenge on him. Yes. But these guys are crazy. I mean, and this was a part of the original cartoon series that I didn't really know so much about. They would pop up. They had all these crazy vehicles. Obviously, they were the toys that were the expensive ones because they all had vehicles. But they're an interesting group of characters. Well, Cobra Commander is now being hunted by them, and Duke shows up at the same time. So what happens? Duke and Cobra Commander try to escape together. They are actually working together for the first couple of issues, trying to get away from the Dreadnoks that have been hunting them down. And so they go and try to find refuge in a small town. And unfortunately, instead of finding refuge, they find a very large character who kind of doesn't want them there. And the Dreadnoks show up. They pretty much capture both of them and are torturing them, looking to kill Cobra Commander. And thankfully, the Joes show up to kind of even the odds a little bit. So this is just 5 issues of sheer madness. Lots of back and forth, lots of betrayals, lots of people getting, murdered horribly. This is not 1980s G.I. Joe. This is very bloody people getting blown up and dismembered G.I. Joe. Thank you, Image Comics, for providing very hardcore violence for, 80s nostalgia. I think this is one of the more exciting story arcs that we've been getting in G.I. Joe. I mean, we had a really cool one with the Baroness and CoverGirl just a few issues ago, which was really... It was fun. It was nice to see them in a different light. But I haven't been as excited with G.I. Joe as I have with Transformers and with Void Rivals. Void Rivals so far has been my favorite of the Energon series. But this 5-part Dreadnok War was a lot of fun, and even more fun because it set up and introduced some characters that are fan favorites, that are nostalgic favorites. So just kind of clicking through a few of these. Here are some of the covers. They're really cool. They kind of set up what you're going to be seeing in each of the issues. Just different images here about Cobra Commander, the different Dreadnoks and Duke. Just looking pretty cool. And there's also a lot of variant covers for these. Just the artist having a great time. Now, one of my favorite introductions of a character in this is, and you might laugh because of course, it's par for the course. Some amazing images here. Very road warrior, very Mad Max. But this character, Road Pig, fan favorite. Expensive toy if you can find him. Very much football fetish gear, giant dude with huge arms, big gut, and a big hammer. Very, very fun. Also turns out that he really loves grape soda, just like the rest of the Dreadnoks, and so they invite him to join their gang, which is pretty fun. He also seems to be just like a really cool guy, kind of slow, loves his dog, loves his pigs. And has a little buzz cut, which I'm wondering how he gets those lines so crisp because he's out in the middle of nowhere and doesn't seem to own a mirror. But just a lot of fun.
He uses the
getting
chrome on his hammer.
He must. And then Hammer, by the way, is named Mom. But he's introduced to this, and as part comic relief, but also a pretty big, scary dude, who's also very Bara in a way. There's a lot of Bara imagery in this, and I think a lot of that has to be thanks to Tom Riley. I think Tom Riley's art in this is perfect. It's very it strikes me as very nostalgic. It puts these characters in almost the kind of imagery that I would expect from the original 80s animated series, and I like that. I like that style. But it is very updated. It's very cool. And he really loves drawing dudes with really big arms and lots of body hair. So Thank you, Tom Riley.
Yeah.
Josh Williamson has been writing this as well, and colors by Jordi Belair. I think they've just done such a great job with this 5-part series. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting. It's crazy. Fans are going to go nuts. Road Pig, of course. Thank you. But also, the final issue of the series, issue number 17, introduces a very big fan favorite, and one who's been missing from the G.I. Joe series this whole time, since the miniseries, all of that. And that is, of course, the most famous Dreadnok of all, Zartan, who can change his face at will. He's very good with the costumes and the disguises. And also, if you leave him out in the sun for a while, he turns blue. So, if you had the toy, anyway. I don't think I had one, but so I had some friends who did, so it was pretty cool. But yeah, G.I. Joe, the Dreadnok War, 5 parts. You can find it now. I believe it's going to be collected pretty soon, available in graphic novel form. Or you could just find them in floppies and follow along. But I do recommend, if you do want to do some back reading on it, read the 2 miniseries. The Duke miniseries and the Cobra Commander miniseries for all the background. Because otherwise, you may not know a lot of what's going on in this retelling of the universe to kind of understand how they get to this point. So,
yeah.
Okay, now I know that they haven't introduced too many characters, Hasbro controlled characters outside of G.I. Joe and Transformers, but I do know last year they started incorporating Mask. So did we have any Matt Tracker or Miles Mayhem in this story? Okay.
No. It's right now, this particular story is purely G.I. Joe. However, there is an appearance of a Transformer character who has made friends with one of the Joes and has been secretly helping them out. And has to reveal, itself.
Okay, cool.
In this one. But yeah, so there is some crossover, but not very much. It's very much deeply entrenched in G.I. Joe lore, characters, etc. So I'll probably see some of your favorites.
I'm not reading this, but just because the subject matter is not my cuppa. But I was going to say, if this is something that you like and you've never looked at it, you should not miss up a chance to look at Tom Riley's art. That dude's amazing. I love Tom Riley's stuff. I've been following him since, very early on in his career, and just am a really big fan of his line. And I've seen some of the images he's drawn from this entire series, and it's great work. Just as like I said, I may try to go read this at some point.
I mean, just, it's just so dynamic. He just has such a quality to his line. He also knows how to draw veins and beefy dudes. So just as an FYI,
he is really perfect for a toyetic kind of appeal.
Yes,
it's like he has that kind of sensibility about him.
Yeah. So this was fun, and the art made it even more enjoyable because he gets these characters. So,
all right.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. And I give you credit for sticking through with everything. It's been like 2.5 years at this point, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's Void Rivals #1. Yeah.
I think so. Maybe even longer. It's been a while. There were some breaks that were taken, here and there, but, yeah, I mean,
I know Kirkman made a very pointed, policy of there not being more than 4 issues a month, so that people could collect everything and keep up with stuff. So, I think some of those breaks were because of that. Like you said, like the G.I. Joe main series would be replaced by a mini series for a couple months and stuff. So there are things like that. I've read very little. I wish there was an Image version of Infinite.
Someday soon, because there is just so much. Although I'm sure it'd be really tough to do because of the rights.
Oh, because of the rights, yeah. I mean, things would be on there and then just vanish,
and then would disappear and all that. But man, I mean, there's so many great Image books out there that if you miss the floppies and if you miss the only printing of the collections, good luck. Good luck at finding them.
So Bill, there's not an Infinite version, obviously, of that, but the app that I use to read just random things, Global Comics, it has an image section. Like that's how I'm reading Exquisite Corpses. It's how I read Beneath the Trees and the Orphan the Five Beasts. And it's got some of the Transformers stuff, quite a bit of the Transformers stuff on there.
Okay.
I pay like $10 a month for it, and it's got. I'm trying to find a list of the publishers. It's got Dark Horse, DC, Dynamite, IDW, Image, Kodansha, Oni, Marvel, Vault. I mean, they're doing it's getting stuff all the time, and it's legitimate. This is not a piracy website. It's a licensed thing. So, that may be something you want to look into for the
maybe it's like jam on stuff for a month. You know?
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Like I'm reading the Power Fantasy on it. It's got a chip ton of Transformers, all the way up to number 25 on here.
Yeah,
which is the introduction of Miles Mayhem.
Is it nice?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the second to
well,
last.
You know that
we're
not reading it.
Because I got involved with a mask-related conversation with my friend Glenn, and Bill and his preferences, evil silver-haired guys, Miles came up.
As he does.
As he does.
Something's come up.
Right.
About mine.
All right, so let's go over to Caleb, and I understand, Caleb, you have a book from the House of Ideas.
I do. So this weekend was kind of the first weekend I had like free in a while. So I did some binge reading. Like I read a lot of books. So just, I'll give some shout outs later, some good series. But one of the things I read that I was really excited about reading, was a trade paperback. As much as reading trades is not my preferred form, I missed a few issues of a series, and the easiest way to get it read was to order the trade. So I got The Vision and Scarlet Witch. Was one of the newer chapters of Steve Orlando's kind of just, I don't know what you want to call it, his tenure taking care of the Scarlet Witch, and thoroughly have enjoyed his work on that character in that series. I mean, she's one of my favorite characters, but I'm not one of the people that are like, oh, she's my favorite, so I'll like everything. I'm very particular about the way she's handled. And I think Steve Orlando has done a very good job understanding that character, opening her world up to people, leading her in some new places, and just really respecting her. And he has a good kind of grasp on her history, which is not easy to do because it's all over the place. Her power set is all over the place. Sometimes she just makes sparkly, mist, and then sometimes she's a god tier character, right? He's got a really good handle on that. So very excited about this next chapter to see where she's going. It carries on with the, kind of what she's been doing, which is she's got a magic-based apothecary opened up in a town called Lottkill, New York. I'm assuming it's like Peekskill. That's where she's working, and number one, she's selling just things that people who are practicing witches need, different herbs and things for whatever they're doing. But it's also the home base for something that she has called the Red Door, or the Last Door, which is what people who are in dire straits, they find the door that leads them to her. And in that theme, in the Scarlet Witch and the Vision, it opens up in that area, but there's like this weird, like cultish biker gang attacking things. And what you figure out is, in the theme of there being mystical doors, these kind of culty biker guys are really, there are these things called black doors that have been opening up everywhere. And she's just kind of finding out about this, but no one really knows what they are, except for people go through them and they're never seen again. But there seems to be this weird, almost Stan Lee like movement behind them to like goad people into going in there, and so they're ignoring the fact that people go in there and disappear, but they're selling them on it. Like, you can find things that you're missing, and no one really knows what this is. As the bikers are attacking, the Scarlet Witch is holding her own, and the different side characters are getting in there and taking action too. But the Vision shows up out of nowhere, right, and just kind of saves the day. Really helps to stop it. And it turns out that the Vision is also investigating these black doors, and he's not sure lead to or what's going on either. And they're trying to kind of figure it out, and they're going to go on a mission together, which if you know the Vision and Wanda's history, this is going to be, it's, you're taking a road trip with your ex-husband, right? That you still got a lot of emotions for. They've been through a lot together. And so it's kind of an awkward thing. Also, you should know in the background of this, there is this character. He's an elder god named Scythen that at one point lived inside Wanda. She kind of captured him as she was the living Darkhold. He's now escaped and she can't find him, which, this grandiose Lovecraftian threat to the Marvel universe is lurking out there, and she's trying to hunt him down. Well, that's kind of in the backdrop. You'd not be surprised to find out that there's a way that all these things are connected, because that's what happens in good storytelling, and they are blending these worlds. But as they are journeying through and they're looking at these black doors and what's happening, and they're realizing that there's obviously something nefarious and otherworldly about them, they land on a connection. One of the elder gods once had a connection with the Grim Reaper, who was in real life Simon Williams' brother, and Simon Williams is, of course, who the Vision's brainwaves are based off of, and so in effect, it's the Vision's brother. The last time we really saw the Grim Reaper, well, unless you were reading like the Valkyrie miniseries, but the last time we really saw the Grim Reaper was in Tom King's Vision run, and he showed up to attack the Vision and his family. The Vision's wife, who, the Vision that he had built a family with, defended her family. Unfortunately, one of the children was killed. The Vin, who was Vision's brother. Viv has gone on to be a great character in the Marvel universe, but he lost his family, and his wife went insane, and she buried the Grim Reaper in the backyard. Through a series of weird cosmic events, the Grim Reaper links back up with this elder god. And the whole idea is he is the master of death. He comes back every time, and they defeat death. And that's what these black doors are doing. They are feeding people to an elder god. And in order to defeat this, they have got to go in together and really attack it at its core. But this world preys on your emotions and on your loss. And there's been a lot of heartbreak and loss through the Marvel universe, but if you want to look at the grand scheme of things, Wanda and Vision are two of the characters who have probably been through it the most, right? Wanda's two children that were created that she loved that disappeared and turned out to be a fragment of her imagination that later became Speed and Wiccan, right? But just the fact that she lost them, the Vision losing his son, right? These are people who could have had families who wanted nothing more to feel really human and have these things, and have had that all ripped away from them. And as they go into the black door, that is used against them. And actually Vision, as if you're watching the feed right now, you see one of the wonderful images of the Vision reconnecting with his son. Except, as you might imagine, this is not his real son. And Wanda realizes that. She goes, Vision, I realize you want this more than anything, but there's no way that this is your son. Somewhere during the mix, by the way, the Grim Reaper does come back. Once his cover is kind of blown, he does attack. They go back to the Vision's house to find it, to kind of investigate, and that's where the attack takes place. And as you can expect, the Grim Reaper is attacking on two fronts because, as I mentioned earlier, one of his bodies is buried in the backyard. So he's attacking, and then out of nowhere, the Grim Reaper comes up from the ground like zombie Grim Reaper and just scythes right through Vision. And it's effectively going to kill him, but Wanda is able to step in and save him in a way that makes, she doesn't give him his life back, right? But she does rescue him from the brink. And he comes back and he's this all white, stark white version, which we've kind of seen before. But he has to deal with loss and grief. And so what she does is she sucks him into a pocket universe, while he's able to cope with these very human emotions for what feels like a year, but in our time, it's just a matter of seconds. And so they spend a year inside this pocket universe to come back into real time. And they've worked through some things, had some very personal moments. Not going to spoil the end of this. I think it's 5-issue series. Like I said, I read it in trade. But they've got to work through some stuff, right? Some very serious stuff. They eventually, the good guys win, and that's about as much as I'll spoil it for you. But the art is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Russell Dauterman's art on here. It's very much kind of, this fits in the same school. So if this is in an omnibus, it's gonna fit together with that art. But I mean, I'm a big Dauterman fan, so I miss him seeing on there. But it's Lorenzo Tammetta for issues 1 through 3, and then Jacopo Camgini for 3 through 5, with Ruth Redmond doing the colors, and Travis Lanham on the letters, and then Russell Dauterman does the covers of it. So great creative team. But yeah, I mean, there's some fantastic images all through this. I mean, some of my favorite, you get to see Gargantos, the return of, if you know who Gargantos is, you get to see him pop back in. So wonderful, weird Cthulhu, Lovecraftian eyeball monster. But for me, I've been a big fan of Steve Orlando for a long time, even when other people weren't. And I understand why other people weren't. And he's had plenty of misses, but there's always been something about his writing that, even when it's series like, he did one called it was a multiversal story with a superhero team that was presidents from all different multiverses or whatever. Not necessarily a big hit, or not necessarily even one of his best, but there were some creative steps that he was taking. That was a learning thing for him. And you can kind of see the mechanics of what he's doing. But I've always thought that, especially his prose, especially his exposition, he is a wonderful writer. And he has some lines in this that are straight up poetic, that are beautiful, that could be just outside of comics, is just great writing. So one of them, and I'll read it to you because it just stood out to me so much, and it's the very end of it. But he says, "You've been yourselves young and in love, and you've been yourselves apart. You've been yourselves, this version of yourselves, and as impertinent as that may be, this is more exciting." And it goes on to say, "Because you're finally being human," right? Just really poetic things about relationships. So grab this if you can. Go check out the rest of the Scarlet Witch Vision stuff. It's well worth your time. It's well worth the read. Beautiful art, beautiful storyline. And my girl's in good hands. So go check this out.
Awesome.
Okay. And now, was this in the main Scarlet Witch series?
So no, this was
something.
The Scarlet Witch series has gone through different iterations under Steve Orlando. Like, there's been a couple, like 4 issues or 10 issue series. This ended after like his second Scarlet Witch series, and then this was 1 through 5. And then I'm not sure if there was another Scarlet Witch series or if that moved over to Sorcerer Supreme, which is the ongoing one right now.
Okay. All right. So you had Marvel there. So for the last few months, we've had the DC K.O. event going down. And for me, I don't know how anybody else who's been reading this, it's better than it needs to be. Because, it's fighting, it's basically what's going on are fights, and, as somebody who isn't as entrenched in video games, I understand that there's a lot of alignment with, at least the way things are laid out and the dynamics of a lot of the battles are following. I'm enjoying it from a different perspective, but I get it. There were 2 books in the last DCBS box, which were KO, that I really feel should be spotlighted in one manner or another. The first is Boss Battle 1. And Steve, if you can just pull up the main cover that I sent you, which I have here. Just get a better picture there. And it might be hard to see from the cover on the way this is formatted, but you should still be able to see this. You'll see the caption there, "Challengers from Beyond the DCU." So we have characters that are not DC Universe characters. We have characters from Mortal Kombat. We have characters from Archie. Sabrina makes an appearance. Dynamite characters like Vampirella and Red Sonja make an appearance. And just extending to that, the world of the boys, and we have Homelander. We have Mortal Kombat, as I may have unnecessarily repeated here. But the boss battle is the boss battle. There are 4 contestants in the KO, that are left, effectively, in Superman, Wonder Woman, Lex Luthor, and the Joker. So these are heavy hitters. And there's this side quest that's happening right now because the Gorilla Grodd and the World Forger are trying to basically help the battle along. And for additional challenges, they bring in characters from outside the regular realm. And some of these are really novel battles. So as I said, we have those four main characters, the main survivors that are vying for the Omega King. But we also have brought back Batwoman and Black Lightning and Plastic Man, just to even the numbers out a bit for this sort of side quest that's happening. And Steve, if you can go to the next graphic that I provided for you, just like every KO release, there's a ton of really cool variant covers, and this is the one that I had to get. I had to get the Joker with Samantha Strong from Beyond the Trees where no one, you know what it means, the trees where no one sees. Behind, right? Beyond, I can't remember. Jesus. It's beyond, right?
Beneath the trees.
The trees where no one sees. Oh my God. I think I may have provided great sequel titles, though. Okay,
Beyond the trees. Behind the trees.
Trees. Beneath the trees.
Beyond the trees.
Have you not read the sequel?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna get that collected because I missed out on the first two issues.
I mean, just side note, Beneath the Trees has a great trade.
Yeah. No, I have the first series in singles. I was the first one on the block, baby.
Yeah, you were.
With that one.
You talked about it on the podcast with us.
You
when the issue one came out.
You and Brian got me to read it.
We didn't have Dork, but we don't have Dork this week, but we have
The Orc.
See, that could have been news of like an honest to goodness like collector's hit.
Yeah,
we could have talked about that. But anyway, here we go, right back to boss battle. So interesting, it's not Samantha and the Joker who are battling in the issue. It's Samantha and Lex Luthor who are the ones that battle in the KO. And the combinations are really, really interesting. With Mortal Kombat, again, they work kind of in teams in Mortal Kombat. So instead of one, we get two. We have Black Lightning and Plastic Man, and they go against Sub-Zero and Scorpion. And in their sequences, you can even see the fight. You can even see that there. So I know enough about Mortal Kombat to know how cool that is. Some of the other battles that are happening in here: Wonder Woman and Red Sonja, waiting a long time for something like that. We have Star Sapphire and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and some really cute sequences with Sabrina because she really doesn't want to fight. But she gets pulled into it. Just another dream combo which Steve had moved forward with, which was Superman battling Homelander, and some really cool pages, and probably the best lines of dialogue in the book were between the two of them. We also have, and I know Caleb, this is a particular fan favorite for him, Batwoman, who goes against Vampirella. And some really funny lines in there when she's placed, because again, they're all in an arena, and then they get placed where they're actually going to fight. And she's like, "Oh, great. I get the Gothic castle," which I can totally hear Kate Kane saying. But the best combo here. And unfortunately, I did not provide Steve with, an image there, but there's nothing wrong with me just showing a picture of it as soon as I get to it here. And that's the Joker. And who's the Joker fighting? Annabelle the doll. And believe me, it's a fair fight. So the fight's going on. Grodd and the World Forger are seeing that, this battle, to help move the tournament along, is going to result potentially in the four champions dying, because they're basically all fair fights. So they take their energy and they provide it as much energy as the Forger and Grodd can muster, sends them over to Superman, Wonder Woman, Lex Luthor, and the Joker. They are victorious. The other worlds just kind of disappear, and it leads right into DC K.O. number 4, which is a monumentally selling issue because it is really the first time we have the absolute versions versus the standard DCU versions. I was not aware of this until I checked the DC Infinite app about the Who's Who, which is up there. It is up there, so I stand corrected. But DC K.O. number 4 is up for free as well with the standard Infinite, so anybody can read that. Okay. Now the book I really wanted to talk about. One of the mini-series, again, we've had a lot of one-shots with KO, but one mini-series that came out was something called Knightfight, which involved Bruce Wayne Batman. And if you read the beginning of KO, you know that Bruce was taken out really early in the tournament. He was taken out really early, but that doesn't mean he's dead. The Omega Force has decided, no, we're going to punish this guy. We're going to send him to other worlds where it turns out that his Robins were better Batmans than he was. So it's kind of playing on his ego. And, you know, when we've seen in the earlier issues, this is the 4th issue, like father, like son. And this time the son is literally the son. This time the Robin that we're talking about is literally Damian. He's sent there, and we've already seen the versions of Dick, where he basically has an army of Robins. We see the version that has Tim, and how he's, you know, basically been just like almost like the best version of Rock of Ages Batman, but in a sort of benevolent sense. And then we see Red Hood, Jason, who basically has eradicated crime in Gotham, but Gotham looks very bleak for that happening. He's transported to Damian's world. Now, we all know when Damian made his debut, you know, little fucking brat, you know, like there's no way to characterize him as anything but. And, you know, we have seen him grow up a bit, you know, where he's, you know, developed affection for other characters, particularly Goliath and John Kent, I would say above all. But what we see here in this is Damian grown up, and it's the best possible version that he could be. He knows he is, you know, wicked smart. You know, he knows that he has abilities, both intellectually and physically, you know, that most people don't. Let's put it that way. And he decides, you know, apart from his tasks as Batman, he's going to honor, you know, members of his family that came before. So like his grandfather, Thomas Wayne, he becomes a doctor, and he becomes a very good doctor. And that leads to, a Gotham that is vibrant. They actually live in Crime Alley. The Waynes actually live in Crime Alley. You know, the point where everything that was set in motion, and, you know, in a very, very tragic way, is now probably like the premier address in Gotham. And it's a shining skyline. It is basically everything that Gotham could have been, and something Bruce could never have brought about as Batman. But at the end of the 3rd issue, you also see something else. You also see Batman's grandson, and Batman's grandson is named Alfred. And Bruce falls in love with this kid immediately. And just, Steve, if you can just go to the next line. This was the line that just tore my heart apart, where Bruce is basically watching, you know, a very identifiable manga, let's put it that way, a very identifiable anime on the screen with his grandson. And the caption says, "I'm not sure I want to go home." You know, he knows this is a task. You know, he's always working things out and always processing things. But this version of Gotham and his world where he has been placed is what he wanted to achieve. And as they're going through that, you know, he's also a very honest character, and he's talking to Damian, who is the Batman of this universe, and basically all the other people that he has mentored have come around him in here too. So, you know, we have Dick, and we have Barbara, we have Duke, you know, we just, everybody's there. And he's honest with them, and he say, you know, I'm here because I'm actually preparing for a fight. And they said, well, we're going to prepare you for that fight. You know, like, you know, he's saying he's rejecting heaven, essentially. And Damien's still Damien, though, and, you know, he's basically kicking his ass in various parts when they are preparing for battle. But they actually get to the point where the fight is at its peak, and he hears the Omega voice saying, "Kill your son," and that's a step he can't take. But it also means that you know, he's ready, and he's ready to get back in the fight to vie for King Omega, and that's where the issue goes. Now, I've talked on this show before. I'm not the biggest Batman fan. If there was a top 20 characters, he'd probably rank at 18 for me in DC. We've had enough of Batman. You know, we've had a lot of Batman. Okay. And for this particular story to have emotional resonance, and however you look at it, is like a popcorn movie crossover with K.O. It really did a very interesting job. The writer is Joshua Williamson, second Joshua Williamson book we talked about today. The art is by Dan Mora, who's, you know, it's basically like DC's premier artist right now. I mean, I really don't think anybody really competes with him. And, you know, as I said, to have a mini series, and especially this particular issue with so much emotional resonance to it, was unexpected. Let me put it that way. And I know we're only on February 12th at the time that we record this, but if we talk at the end of the year about what my favorite single issue is, do not be shocked if it's this. Do not be shocked. So, Knightfight number 4. And I apologize, I did not give you the credits for Boss Battle. The stories are all written by Jeremy Adams, and there's a series of artists through the issue, including Ronan Cliquet, Carmen Diagiancino, Kieran McCowan, and Pablo Collar. So a whole bunch of artists in that, but Knightfight.
That's, I mean, and they're two so different books. I mean, you know, Boss Battle probably leans a lot more into the humor, into just like the absolute craziness of having, you know, Annabelle be a character fighting. But, you know, and even with Homelander, I mean, Homelander and Superman meeting each other is crazy, because of course Homelander being a massive parody in a way of Superman, like everything that Superman isn't, Homelander is. And then going to something as sentimental as Knightfight, you know, this issue, like, it's just, it's, I mean, it just goes to show you, like, everything that's going into DC K.O, it covers all bases. I've been so impressed with how DC is handling this crossover. This is how a line my crossover should be.
Yeah. And also, I have to say, in terms of the advocating for the done in one, I think the series is worth it. I especially some of the dialogue with Dick, with the Batman version of Dick, and they're just really potent. But you have this page on issue 3. I'll just show it there. This is your grandson. Say hello to Alfred. You know, that's the only bit of Alfred you don't get in here, in the story. So this essentially is a done in one. So
cool.
If you want to explore it from that lens, you can do that.
Nice.
Yep. All right, Steve, you got the mic again. Why don't you take us through another book?
Well, I'm going to take you to a book that I got through a Kickstarter, and it made me happy. It was one that you know, I took a chance on, because I've been looking more at you know, European artists and European creators to see what they have. And put out by Moon Comics is a great graphic novel called In Between the Trees. And I have some graphics up here for it that are a little bit easier to see. Hold on, if it'll show it for me. It probably won't. It's going to do something weird.
It's so weird that it does that with yours. Like on ours, it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shouldn't do it, but there we go. Okay. Doop, doop, doop. Thank you. Riverside. There we go. Excellent. Okay. So In Between the Trees by Paul Winck. This is a book that takes place in France, and it concerns a reporter named Mathilde. And Mathilde lives alone. She lives with her cat, and she's looking for the next, an interesting story. And so her magazine editor sends her out to embed herself in a cult. And essentially it's a cult that's very, Eastern facing. They have a guru, they have an inspiration from from an Indian holy man. And, everybody in this cult they dress simply, they eat simply, they spend a lot of time meditating, they spend a lot of time just sort of doing chores and working around the compound. And of course it's frowned upon that they have any other outside amenities or communications. So no cell phones and no computers, none of that stuff. And of course, Mathilde is given a little bit of leeway because she is a reporter, and the leader of the cult does understand that she's doing the story on their beliefs, on their practices. And so she's not doing this essentially to expose them or to tear them down, just basically providing a profile of this cult. And she's not a believer. She does take part in some of the activities. But it's not really for her. She doesn't feel comfortable there. She doesn't like being stripped of everything. She doesn't like being put into a room where she's sleeping around other people. There's no privacy. And that's really, to her, that's an imposition. So she didn't come here because she was seeking anything for herself. She just came for a story. And, to her, she doesn't know why she's letting it get as far as her taking part in a lot of their rituals. But while she's there, she runs into a woman who is a Muslim woman. She still wears hijab, and she's the cook. She tends the garden. She cooks all the food for the people, and she really does understand an outsider's perspective. However, she is part of the cult. She is a seeker. She is one of the believers for the group. She just hasn't gone all the way. She still has Islam as her main faith, but she also has been getting some of the teachings and getting a lot of the teachings there. So she works with Mathilde in kind of trying to help her to understand why someone like her is going to be in a cult like this. Things get a little bit wild. Things get a little bit crazier. There's a split within the cult, a schism. People leave, and the leader decides that it's getting close to the end, and kind of follows the trajectory of a lot of cults, and starts talking about the end times and that the visitors are coming and that we are going to be going with the visitors. They force Mathilde, more or less, she's pressured into taking part into a tantric communication session where she's stripped naked and given hallucinogens, and this just sort of tears at her soul. She can't be here. She can't do this, but she doesn't want to leave because she's got Anita, and Anita is there as her anchor, and also she's developing feelings for her in a way that she never really thought that she had a space in her life for another person. And so even with this cult being something that she absolutely doesn't like I'm sure that if she were to write this article, it would be pretty scathing on how ridiculous a lot of this is. But interestingly enough, the way Paul Winck handles the subject matter is that he doesn't mock the beliefs of of this cult. And in fact, a lot of times when he's talking about the lessons, the gods are actually just cosmic interpretations of physics theories, and there are aliens everywhere, and we're all sort of part of the same consciousness and universal constant. All of this, it's done beautifully. The art is so descriptive and gorgeous, and just really it plays with all of these ideas. So even though his main character is kind of like, this is all bullshit, it looks beautiful. You get sort of the sense of how the other people around her are feeling and experiencing this belief system. And including Anita, he gives her a voice that makes sense. How she's very strongly Islam, she's strongly Muslim, but she also sees this other side, this other potential for belief and for being, and she sticks with it. But of course, as things go kind of as they do, and they fall apart in these kind of cults, it's up to them to kind of decide, like, Matilda doesn't want to be here. She could go at any time, but of course she doesn't want to leave. She doesn't want to leave Anita, and Anita, in her hand, doesn't want Matilda to go, but she knows that Matilda is not. She's not getting what Anita is getting out of this. So, it is a very sweet development of a love story mixed in with a very realistic portrayal of, new agey type of cult. And I love cult stories. I like watching documentaries about cults. And Vink appears to have done some research here, because again, it starts off all wonderful and high, sunny and happy, and everybody's here working together, and devolves into, let's all, have sex on drugs and wait for the aliens to come. And, it's a really interesting story, and having Matilda as this sort of outsider, from her perspective, it's pretty cool. But of course, it's a sweet love story too. So if you like queer European love stories with a cult involved, definitely check this out. It's by Moon Comics, and the artist-writer is Paul Winck with a W-I-N-C-K. So I recommend checking this out and taking a look for it. I think you could probably find it. You could probably get it off of Amazon or other, if you can import it, it's €15 or so. But definitely recommend checking it out.
So I was actually looking for it on Amazon while you were talking, and I can't find it on Amazon. I was going to.
It might not be available.
Yeah,
it might not be available on Amazon yet, but it is available for purchase. I got mine through the Kickstarter, but it should be available for purchase somewhere.
Yeah, this is definitely within my wheelhouse. I want to get a copy of this.
Yeah, check the Kickstarter page, because often these days they will provide a link, post campaign, and where you can buy it. So check the Kickstarter.
And I know you can get it straight from their store. So the Moon Comics storefront. So you should be able to get that. So, but yeah, cool. Right at my wheelhouse.
Also, I just wanted to say, Steve, I know we've had a lot of conversations about films about cults and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen The Source Family?
I have heard of it, but I have not watched that.
You should watch that, because it's an example of a cult that wasn't a death cult.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like there is some connective tissue with the denizens of this story and what happened. So you might want to check them.
This has so much detail in it. It's clearly modeled off of some kind of existing group. Because again, It's not done derisively, especially at first. Like it is not just saying like these people are all nuts, they're all crazy, and look at their goofy beliefs. It's actually done very respectfully up until it goes south. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, over to Caleb with one last book. And I apologize, sir. I'm going to ask you to kind of abbreviate it a little bit so that we can get in within 2 hours.
Yeah, sure.
Because I went a little long. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
I went a little long on the vision, so I will definitely cut this short. So my book, where Steve got his through a Kickstarter, I got mine through a friendship. Steve sent me this. And so very happy to see it, and thank you, because it was a wonderful read. And the book is called Dancing on the Volcano by Floor de Goede. Did I pronounce that right, Steve?
I am not good with Flemish or Dutch names, but I'm thinking it's Floor de Goede.
I'm going to go with Floor de Goede.
Mispronounce that G, and anybody.
We got to use that. You got to use that as I think it's Floor de Goede.
I can't do a G. I cannot do a Dutch G. I cannot.
Steve turned into a Northern European there for a second. So, Northern Englander or something like that, for whatever that group was that y'all were talking about earlier. So this book is actually it's I don't think it's fair to call it an anthology, but it's 3 short stories by Floor de Goede. And it all centers around it's autobiographical to extent, or maybe it's memoir or whatever, which I struggle with the difference on that. But Floor, or as he's known in the book, Flo, is in a dedicated relationship with his boyfriend, Boz. And so all 3 stories really center around different aspects of that relationship. Flo is a photographer, and he works with magazines and newspapers, and so he's in the first story. He is linked up with a writer, and they are going somewhere. I actually forget where it was in the book, but they are going to some island volcano that is a dormant volcano to write a series about it and to check it out. Basically, they're on an island paradise, right, where the views are gorgeous, the experiences are amazing. But Flo is missing. This is the longest he's been away from Boz, his boyfriend. And he is very codependent. And so he spends the entire first story just not seeing the forest for the trees, right? He's missing paradise because he's just moping and missing his boyfriend. And while he's doing it, he's just texting his boyfriend, and his boyfriend is just trying to live his life at home. He's like, dude, stop texting me every 5 minutes, right? Like, I'm busy and you're in a fucking island paradise. Go live your life and quit moping and being annoying. Like, you've got to stop. And so in a way, these actions about missing somebody are actually taking away from their relationship. And as they go through the volcano, as you can see, the writer that's on here with Steve is showing you now, but the writer is this kind of lovable comic relief guy who's just like, I'm just doing whatever. I'm in an island paradise. Oh, my breakfast wasn't great. I want my money back. And Flo's just like, you just comp it. He's like, oh yeah, I can do that. So, just little things like that you would find annoying. But this guy's just living his life and trying to enjoy the experience, where Flo is just kind of on edge all the time. The other 2 stories, the second one kind of looks at when Flo is back, and Flo and his boyfriend Boz are kind of dealing with a throuple situation that's not a throuple situation. There's a guy that they're very good friends with that stays at their house that they are both low-key in love with. And they're not sure what that means for the 3 of them and their friendship, and what it means for each other and how that works, and what those boundaries are. And then the last one is just they're, transitioning into life. They're, going out to the clubs are not getting them what they want. They're not sure what life at home should be like, and just trying to navigate it and figure out. This is a queer relationship, right? This is different aspects of it. In many ways, it's interesting to see how they develop and what their life is like. In many ways, it sees how they are trying to navigate, like I said, codependency in a relationship, but also, the idea that there can be multiple people, more than 2 people in a relationship, and what that looks like, and how you share feelings and things like that. All done in a really adorable cartooning style. I don't really know how to describe it. I don't read a lot of books that are kind of in this vein. But the cartooning is wonderful. It's very, I can't give you a reference point for it. Bill or Steve may be able to.
Isn't it a bit Tintin though?
I would say it's more comic strip. It's more of more like a comic strip.
But I'm just saying,
style.
the character shapes and stuff.
I can see
that again. Yeah. That it might be here.
Also a little bit of Spirou, if you know the French comic series, Spirou is very much like that, where it's like it's almost it's cartoony, it's like comic strip style,
but very expressive at the same time.
Yeah, very expressive.
Yeah.
Bill just he's like, right.
I mean, just look, it's adorable. Like, look at the little, just
even the sexy times are like, oh.
And it was just Steve. I've also been going through a week of Johnny Weir and him over pronunciating
everybody's names.
Yeah, so that just put me right there where you said, okay.
But published by Oni Press. So, like I said, I'm going to go seek out more of this work because I really enjoyed it. Very fun. I really enjoyed it. So go check it out. This was Dancing on the Volcano by Floor de Goede, as Steve would pronounce it. So that's my second book.
It's all good. I'm mispronouncing the G too. I mean, every Dutch person who would ever hear that G, it's like, I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay, so as we approach the denouement,
we've offended half of the European
of our episode. So we go on a journey with every episode, and there are two last stops. And the first of the two last stops, the penultimate stop, is where we show off our Geek Gets, things that we've gotten in the last, in this case, 21 days, that are somewhat geek aligned, that we just want to show stuff off. So, Steve, were you able to get anything?
I did. And I actually, because I've been slowly accumulating all of them, I am still missing several, but I've just been loving the DC Compact books because now I can feel like I have a really complete library of some books that some trades that I haven't actually gotten before. So I picked up the trade version of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I have it digitally, but now I actually get to hold a copy. Batman Gotham by Gaslight. I've never read the first one. I've read the follow-up ones. And then, of course, Batman White Knight, which is a more recent one from the past couple of years, but has also been collected in DC Compact format, which, again, people have complained about, like, oh, but it's smaller. It's not like experiencing the full. It is just shrunk down slightly. So, you know what? Put it closer. Put your eyes closer to the page. I don't understand why it's such a big deal, but I think they're compact. They're easy to store, easy to loan out, and to walk around with. And because of the price point, you can find it for $10 or less. They're reading copies.
Yeah, manga's existence kind of destroys it's not big enough. I'm like, nah, bullshit.
Yeah. Like, manga exists, people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are my gets.
Okay, cool. Over to Caleb.
Okay, Evergreen Geek Get, Cube Flamingo. Still got it. always gonna show up now. First Geek Get, I'm super excited about. If omnibuses are shelf porn, this is shelf bukkake. Lone Wolf and Cub Deluxe Edition. Big, like they're gonna do the entire series back. Like this, I love this, and it is amazing.
Gorgeous.
It's the way it was originally intended to go from right to left and everything. So that is shelf porn thing happening. But the real Geek Get is something I'm super excited about. Is a musical Geek Get. I got in my possession a vinyl copy of Luther Dickens and Datrian Johnson's Dead Blues. So just real quick, Steve was putting it up there. That's the cover of it. You don't know who Luther Dickinson is. He's been a lot of places and in a lot of bands. He was one of the founding members of North Mississippi All-Stars. He also played guitar for the Black Crowes. A few years ago, Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead fame came to him and said, "Hey, you're a really good guitar player. You should come on the road with me." And he was like, "Wow, jam bands are not necessarily my forte, so I'm all in. Let's go learn something new." And so from that experience playing with the Grateful, like with Phil and Friends, which is a Grateful Dead, kind of spinoff, he wanted to do this, and he got Datrian Johnson, which is kind of this Appalachian soul singer, to jump in with him. And this has got covers by some of the blues greats. It's not Albert King, Muddy Waters, It's got covers by, I had a list and I'm pulling it back up. But Muddy Waters, Bo Diddley, Willie Dixon, just a ton of them. Really good. Basically, this is psychedelic acid blues, right? And so that's the best way I can describe it. Bill, if that one single issue is on your best of list, I'll be not surprised if this is not one of my favorite albums of this year, just for its ingenuity. It's very, very fun to listen to.
All right, cool.
That's awesome.
All right. I have a rock-oriented Geek Get. Again, kind of sequestered a bit with the snow, so haven't gotten out too much. But the one thing I did get on a trip to a record store, and the other thing got sent to me. So the first, you all right there?
Yeah, I just had a weird muscle spasm.
All right.
Ooh. No fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll just wait till it's done. Okay.
Spaz.
All right. So I made a trip to Princeton Record Exchange, and every so often Princeton Record Exchange, there must have been somebody that regularly trades in with them that either worked or had some connection with Time Life, because almost all the time there are still wrapped Time Life videos in the store, and this time I hit the jackpot on that. So I got all 5 volumes of the history of rock and roll. Now, this particular series came out in 1995 from Time Life, which attempted to do, over the course of 10 episodes, a fairly comprehensive history of rock and roll. The same year, 1995, when this came out, they also had there was also another series that PBS and I believe BBC Two had put together, and in the States it was called Rock and Roll, and in England it was called Dancing in the Streets. That's a superior series. I mean, Liev Schreiber does amazing narration in that, and the punk episode in that is just stellar. So I would say of the two, go for that. But its history on home video has been kind of spotty. This was much more easily available, the Time Life series. So a sort of bound by like one little strap here, a collection of 5 DVDs I got for $3.99 unopened. So I could not say no to that. I do know that there was a version of this series that had some follow-up interviews, because Cobain had not died when they originally made the episode, but then they had some commentary, I think, from Bruce Springsteen, who never met him, but still had some interesting things to say about Kurt. So at least in the Up From the Underground episode, there was some new content around like late 95, 96. But I haven't watched this in 30 years. So, interested in revisiting that. And then my other Geek Get was courtesy of Sean Pigeon, who is from the 11 O'Clock Comics world. I cannot remember what his handle was on the old forum. Sorry about that. But we were chatting, and he came into possession of a very cool Geek Get. I actually do have one of these deeply inserted into the bunker somewhere. But this is such a bizarre thing that if somebody offers me one, I'm going to take it. So thank you for that, Sean. In 1989, the Batman film was promoted to death. And just like it's been for like since then, very often there are cereal tie-ins, breakfast cereals.
Oh no.
So he sent me an unopened box of the Batman cereal from 1989 with the complimentary bank that came with its first few.
That's amazing.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me get this shot there.
I know when you said when you started talking about cereal promotions, I'm like, you did not get a box of Batman cereal. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Still in the plastic wrap.
They have 2
with the bank.
2.
With the bank.
So let's see when the cereal expired.
Oh, it was probably expired in 1990.
Yeah, probably. But I can't.
Pretty 6 years
ancient.
oils.
I'm not seeing a date on that.
Yeah. It might have been before they started.
Kind of shut up because he'll eat anything. So I should shut up. But there we go. Batman cereal from 1989. Thank you very much, Sean.
Yep, and that cereal is made by Ralston, makers of such fine foods as Purina Dog Chow at the time.
Yeah. All right, so we've gone through our Geek Gets. We're stopping at the last destination on our journey tonight, and that is the segment of the show that we call the Woofs of the Week. In the bear community, if you find a fella attractive, you woof at him. And we do something very similar, where we woof at something, which may be comic book or comic book related, but may also be film or TV program or charitable initiative, anything under the sun that we think you, fair listener or viewer, may be interested in sampling. I'll start, as I always do, with Steve. Steve, what is your woof of the week?
Well, first off, we do have a comment here from Daniel. Amazing bat cereal, Bill. Yes, it is. Thank you so much for pointing that out.
How could I refuse that?
It's crazy cool. It is so cool. So my woof of the week, excuse me, and I don't have a graphic for this, but it is on Disney Plus right now, and that is the new MCU series Wonder Man. I have watched the first 6 out of the 8 episodes, and it's such a slow burn because you're not watching a superhero show. It's almost like you're not watching a Marvel show at all, except for the fact that damage control factors very heavily into it. And the character of Trevor Slattery, played by Ben Kingsley, is a central character in this. He's returned to the U.S. after being more or less exiled after being pulled out of prison for his role as the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. But he is helping and becomes friends with the character played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen, and that is Simon Williams, the Wonder Man. However, that's not this Wonder Man. He is trying so hard not to reveal his powers to anybody because of some interesting in-universe stuff related to a character called Doorman, which is episode 4, I believe, is all about Doorman. It's done beautifully in black and white. It highlights this, regular guy who's just a bouncer at a club in LA, ends up getting powers thanks to touching some Roxanne goo, like so many others, and uses those powers to get some fame and some money. And it ends up being very tragic and kind of funny, but also very tragic at the same time, and involving Josh Gad. So I highly recommend the series. The first episode you might be a little bit unsure about, but stick it out. And, the cameos from actors in this, playing themselves, or at least heightened MCU versions of themselves, make that worth it. But also just the story of these two men together, these two actors sort of trying to navigate the Hollywood system, and just the life of being actors. It's a joy to watch. It's a lot of fun. Don't go in expecting a lot of superpower stuff or a lot of, anything other than just sort of like Marvel references. But it is very fun. So Wonder Man on Disney Plus.
Okay, cool. At some point, I'm so far behind.
They're short episodes. They're only like 20, 30 minutes. So
that's nice. Yeah. But even that, I'm still so behind.
Yeah.
But I'll get there at some point. All right, over to Caleb. Caleb, what is your woof?
I'm going to stick with the music theme, right? So little shindig took place, little game took place this past week that had some performers. A lot of it made a lot of noise, but one thing that didn't get a lot of the controversy, gladly, because it didn't need it. There shouldn't have been any controversy, but was one of the opening acts. And I'm not talking about Green Day. I'm talking about Brandi Carlile. Brandi Carlile, who I'm a big fan of for various reasons. But she sang America the Beautiful, and that was an incredible scene. And we got to see a queer singer-songwriter on such a big stage singing about how, her love for this country and what this country can be and should be. And she was accompanied by another duo that I've become a big fan of since I found out about them. and that is Sister Strings, which are the two African American women on here. One plays a cello, one plays a violin. Second time I've seen them on television playing together. The first was when I think it was either the Grammys or it was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I forget which. I'd have to think, but two amazing musicians in their own right, playing with Brandi Carlile, who I think is an incredible singer and incredible songwriter. And it was just very moving. It was very moving to see her do that rendition of America the Beautiful, which, if you know some of the history, the person who wrote that song is potentially, I mean, some of the history suggests that she may have been a closeted queer woman too. So I thought that was a very important moment in, I mean, maybe just pop culture history. I don't know. I just really appreciated it for what it was. And again, gorgeous rendition of that song. So she did us all proud.
Nice. All right. For my wolf of the week, take two. For my wolf of the week, Steve, you may want to just give me some widescreen here because I'm going to show it here. I don't know how we can manipulate that. I see Caleb.
I see you.
But
I see Caleb. I see you now. Let's just go back to the 3-shot. Well, let me just manage. Okay, so.
Or how about we do this? Oh, no, that won't work. How about that? No, that won't work. No, that won't work.
Just go back to the 3-shot. Jesus Christ. Jesus. It's like having a kid. All right. Okay, it works a little better. I kind of gave it away here. So I got my DCBS box the other day for the January books. And if you've been following developments in DC's publishing, and Marvel's doing this as well, but not to the in the same kind of vein that DC is, their facsimile program has extended to their tabloid releases from the 1970s. Now, the comic that I waited for the most, like bated breath, after it was announced, was the first Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man crossover. Tabloid edition, early 1976. You know, I could not wait for this the moment that they announced it. And I got it. It still resides in the bunker. It's kind of beat up, but it's my original copy and it ain't going anywhere. But they had the facsimiles that came out, and the version that I decided to get was the Alex Ross cover, which is basically a reinterpretation of the original cover by Ross Andrew, but done in Alex Ross's style. This initially was a cover for Wizard, I believe Wizard 100, possibly. I have to look up on the history, but seeing this in the tabloid and this, you know, really fun story, you know, and again, you know, this is where crossovers start in terms of intercompany crossovers. And I know that, this made me feel like a little kid again is a cliche. It really did put holding this in my hand. So that's my wolf of the week. The facsimile editions of Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. And, you know, there's foil editions, there's the standard edition, there's that edition. So if you want to explore it, you know, you got a bunch of options there. So
nice.
That's my wolf of the week. All right. Well, that's another episode of the Comic Book Bears in the Can. Well, not in the can. The episode's in the can, not we're in the take two. So that's another episode of the Comic Book Bears that we've wrapped up. If you've joined us through YouTube Live or Facebook Live and other programs where we send this out live, thank you. Please like and subscribe. If you want to write to us, please do so by sending an email to comicbookbears@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Facebook as Comic Book Bears Podcast. You can follow us as Comic Book Bears on most of the other platforms. So until next time, I'm Billy Z.
I'm Steve Morey.
I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
If you're listening to the audio version, you're going to hear a woof and an explosion. We'll be back in about 2 weeks. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Woof, boom. Take two.
Woof.